What is up? What is up, YouTube? How y'all doing, man? We are at the surprise witness. Hey, we starting from the beginning of her live stream and everything, and that's her just coming on her live stream. So we're gonna do a reaction to this.
Girl, whatever the day of the week it is, I never do know. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Looks like over 318 people already. Shout out to y'all.
I like to show the chat.
I will be honest with you. I did have to pay my lawyers about $50,000 today. So if you're feeling it in your heart and your soul to donate to the legal fund, it is linked below. All proceeds to the legal fund go directly to my lawyers.
$50,000. What'd she do?
We'll call this an official fundraiser. If you don't mind, if you could please donate to the legal fund, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, so the Diddy jury selection is underway. What do we have here? Got some new members in the chat. Shout out to Jamie Kelly. Shout out to Pretty Kitty Committee. Shout out to you guys for becoming members.
Shout out to you
Thanks
guys.
so much. Diamond Rainbow has put the legal fund, linked it in the chat. Okay, so let me bring up, so let's just take a little inventory here. It is 1:35 p.m. excuse me, on Tuesday, May 6th. Okay, it's the second day of jury selection. Diddy, yesterday, it's not clear to me exactly if they officially picked members of the jury. I don't think they did, but some people seem to believe that they did. Shout out to Travel Buds 710, becoming a member. Welcome to memberships. Hello from Brazil, somebody said. Shout out to Brazil in the chat. Yeah, I mean, it's just y'all. It's just, don't even get me started on it, please don't. But that's just a drop in the bucket. That's just, that's a drop in the bucket. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. So yesterday I covered this. Like I said yesterday a few times, I wasn't planning on originally covering the jury selection part. I don't really have a lot of experience about jury selection. And by not a lot, I mean, none. None. When I did practice law for a very short time, I was not in litigation. So I didn't really know if I wanted to, cover this, but y'all really seemed to like it yesterday, and so I'm back again today. Yesterday, though, like I said, I did not expect it to go that long. I thought court was over at 5, so there was a few more things that happened I just want to follow up on. As we sit here right now today on Tuesday, May 6th, they are at lunch on their break right now, okay? So by the time we wrap up this video today, which I do anticipate it will be a few hours long, just kind of like yesterday, by the time we wrap it up today, I'm hoping that we're going to be caught up to speed so that if you need to go back and watch it, it'll still just be in order. So what happened yesterday? So only a few more things. I did wrap the stream up yesterday myself around 5:15, and I think they were done around 5:45. So not much happened after. Shout out to Katie MB for becoming a member. Shout out to you. Got 4 new members today. Wait a second. Is this? Okay. Whew. I just had a nightmare flash that my microphone wasn't working for some reason. Okay. All right. So sorry, I get so distracted. Okay. So shout out to Inner City Press, because that's whose tweets I actually did end up reading all day, and that's whose we're going to be reading today. But let me tell y'all what else happened yesterday. I guess we could just, I don't really want to go to his thing. So yesterday, just to wrap it up, what had happened yesterday, Mark Agnifilo did ask the HBO employee, how many photo people in this guy's job are there at HBO? And he said there's only 5. So that was surprising to me. And then we got a little bit of information about victim 3. Now, if we end up in a situation today where we're clicking between tweets and waiting, I'm going to go and download a new document, because there also has been another update. I did want to just let y'all know where we stand today. Second day of jury selection, week 1, day 2, Tuesday, May 6th. It's 1:38 p.m. There has been something filed today as well by the assistant U.S. attorneys, by the government, the feds. And the feds are saying something about Mark Geragos, which is, is it Brian Steele or Mark Geragos? I think it's Mark Geragos. saying that maybe it's Brian Steele. Shoot. Okay. Regardless, one of Diddy's lawyers is the government is asking him to be admonished. So as we get through these tweets and as we kind of like catch up with what's kind of going on today, I'm hoping to time it right so that we're not just sitting here spinning the wheel, refreshing, waiting for him to tweet, which I don't want to make it seem in any way, shape, or form like I am complaining, because he is honestly masterful. I have no idea how he even gets all this stuff done. I'm so impressed with him. Matthew Russell Lee from Inner City Press. I did link his Twitter down below if y'all want to go and follow along as I am reading it, or if you just, when I'm not live or whatever, he's always over there tweeting. I mean, he is working hard over there. Okay. So we did get a little more information about victim 3 yesterday, and as you know, victim 3 has come up quite a few times, quite a few different reasons as we have started to approach trial. And it looks like victim 3 might testify or might not. The judge did ask yesterday before court let out. Again, this is just one of the last few things that happened after I got off the live. Thanks so much, Amy K, for the $5 super chat. Greetings from Michigan. I appreciate all your explanations of legal things. Thank you for what you do. You rock. Thank you so much, Amy, for the super chat and for your kind words. So they were saying the judge was like asking something about victim 3. And then the judge was like to the government, are you expecting victim 3 to testify? And the feds are like, I don't know, which I guess is the right answer. I mean, who knows? And then the judge was like, are you going to bring up victim 3 in your opening statements? And the feds were like, no, we don't plan to right now. So if we ask her to testify, victim 3, then it would be in the second half, whatever that means. So I wanted to update y'all on that. All right. So let's go to Inner City Press's Twitter. And I think just like we should just start from this morning and just start there. I mean, there's going to be no shortage of stuff to be reading and catching up on. So I feel like this is as good a place to start as any. Matthew Russell Lee. Let's see. Tekashi 6ix9ine.
What?
Interesting.
What?
Okay. Anyway, he made a vlog 36 minutes ago, but it may have spoilers, so let's not go to that yet. We will watch it though. We will watch it. I want to watch it in order. So what we're going to do is we're going to start from the very beginning as if, we're just starting from the beginning of the day, even though it is 1:42 p.m. I'm pretty sure I've timed it so where when court actually ends, we're going to be finishing, I think. Okay, so this is 3 hours ago. Inner City Press says, okay, now, U.S. versus Sean Combs, jury selection day 2. After HBO staffer left in jury pool and U.S. asked to admonish Mark Geragos. Okay, so yes, he was asked to admonish Mark Geragos. So we will, if we have time and we, need to do something during this live stream, I will go and download that document. We can read it together here. If not, I'll probably make a separate video on it, the Geragos document. Okay, 3 hours ago. All rise. Oh, I got to get my judge outfit. Okay, I'm on the first day of trial. I'm gonna get my judge outfit, aka my law school graduation outfit. The judge says, good morning to everyone. Everyone in the room has already filled out a questionnaire about the case. I'll be asking you additional questions. Some may be about topics difficult to discuss with strangers. Each side has peremptory challenges. And y'all, I did reach out to some of my law school teachers, and I think I might be able to get one or some of them to come and answer some of our questions. Like one of the questions is going to be like, how many peremptory challenges does each side get? And in your expert opinion, what types of reasons would you, I'm going to give them the list of jurors. I'm going to try to bring the law school teachers in here for y'all. Okay. I'm trying. That's the update. Okay. So the judge says some of the stuff, the judge talking to the jury, the judge says some of the stuff that we're going to talk about, may be difficult to discuss with strangers. You have received a list of questions, the judge says to the potential jurors. You will be escorted to courtroom 26B and then brought one by one back into the courtroom 26A. So they're in 26A. They're about to shuffle all these jurors out of the courtroom. This is 3 hours ago. We're catching up now. But right now, this very second, they're on lunch break. So nothing's going on right now. Chair. I filmed BJ Investigates. My chair is too high. Okay. So the judge is talking to the jurors. He says, okay, y'all are all in here in 26A right now. You're about to be shuffled down the hall to 26B. One by one, you're going to be brought back into the courtroom. And then when you get brought back in here, you're going to be shown a list of people and places. If you are not selected, thanks for your service. Okay, let's begin. So they clear out the courtroom and then they bring in juror number 48. Now I do have a list of these jurors. I'm going to start making it more organized. Just bear with me while I get myself organized the next couple of days. But they bring in juror number 48. This juror number 48 reads the people and places on the page. And I guess they're yes or no questions. It's do you recognize? I think the question is, do you recognize anybody or any place on this list? And yesterday we found out some of the names and some of the places on this list. Some of the names included Michael B. Jordan, Mike Myers. It appears Michelle Williams. I'm not exactly sure which Michelle Williams that might be. Maybe Destiny's Child, maybe some other Michelle Williams actress. Then Kid Cudi was mentioned. This is off the top of my head. This is from my memory. This is the best of my recollection. There was Dawn Richard, who I do believe is going to testify actually in this case. So this is some of the people. These are some of the people on this list that the potential jurors, the prospective jurors are looking at, and they have to tell the judge, yes, I recognize this place or this person, or no, I don't. If they do, they got to say yes. So the judge is like, okay, do you recognize any of these people or places? One of the places that they mentioned, for example, yesterday was the Peninsula Hotel. So this juror, female, number 48, she says yes. The crime victim in question, unfortunately, there was an attempt. I felt like, okay. Girl. Woo. All right. So the judge is like, do you have any yes answers? Okay. On the questionnaire, in addition to the places and the people, they're asking and we took a look at this yesterday as well. The jury questionnaire also asks, have you ever been the victim of a crime? Have you ever been convicted of a crime? Stuff like that. She's saying, I do have a yes answer to being a victim of a crime. Unfortunately, there was an attempted assault toward me. I felt like the cops could have done a lot more, but I was just glad it didn't go further. The judge says, I'm sorry to hear that. Where did it happen? She says it happened in the Bronx. They arrested him, but he had a fake ID and I never got a call back. The judge said, okay, but could you be fair? She's like, it takes a lot of healing. You have to believe in something. Give yourself grace. The judge said, are you in therapy? She said, not now, but I have my own way. He said, on your questionnaire, you wrote, P. Diddy has money. He could buy his way out. What did you mean? She said, just what I wrote. She said on her questionnaire, P. Diddy has money. He can buy his way out. And the judge said, well, what did you mean by that? She said, I meant what I wrote. He has money and can buy his way out. Woo! That's funny. Okay. So the judge excludes juror 48. Okay. She's not going to be a juror. So in comes juror number 61. The judge asks juror 61, who is also a female, your father has received some type of training? Potential juror 61 says, yes, my father is faculty support for victims of SA on campus in Indiana under Title 9 or 10. The judge says Title 9. And then he's like, has he spoken with you about it? Like about his work, I guess. And would that impact you? She says, no. The judge goes, okay, cool. Where did you hear about this case? Because remember, one of the questions was, have you read about this case? Have you already heard about this, familiar with this case, heard about it, read about it, watched a video about it, et cetera, et cetera. She says, She heard about it on CNN. She said, I lean negative toward him, meaning Diddy, Sean P. Diddy, Puff Daddy Combs. I lean negative toward P. Diddy having committed some crimes. But I don't know. The judge says, could you be fair? She says, yes, juror 61. He goes, okay, go back to courtroom 26B. Diddy's lawyer's like, no. What do you mean? She saw this on CNN and she already thinks he committed some crimes. No, we got to get rid of her. Mark Agnifilo said, I moved to strike for cause. And for cause means, from what I understand, that this person cannot be fair or impartial. Juror 61. Okay, so the judge says, I agree. Juror 61 is excluded. So just for y'all keeping track at home, the first two jurors have not been allowed to go forward. They've been excluded. I will have a chart. I'm kind of playing catch up right now, but I will have the chart at least to show y'all on the screen. Probably either the next video or certainly definitely, by Friday. So the judge says, I agree. We got to get rid of 61. So that's the first two jurors of the day could not even move forward. Now they're going to juror number 88, prospective juror number 88. The judge says to this juror, also a female, any yes answers? Juror 88 says, yes, I am in therapy for my knees. The judge said, your knees? Maybe they were asking about like actual therapy, like mind psychotherapy. But she's like, yeah, I need to go to the therapist for my knees. The judge said, your knees? She's like, yeah, I have to ask the therapist if I could come in on a Saturday. The judge is like, late at night or early? And the juror's like, I guess their call. My son works in Rockland County, executive assistant district attorney, criminal cases. Okay, so this person's son is a prosecutor in Rockland County. The judge said, could you be fair? Juror 88 said, I don't know. Shit, I don't know. Look, listen, I do not want a juror whose son is a prosecutor, if I'm on trial, I'll say. If I'm on trial, I'm saying, no. What do you mean you don't know? Could you be fair? I don't know. No, we got to get rid of this person. The judge said, you love your son. Wouldn't it be hard? Juror 88, I don't know. What I say is bias. What I say is bias may not be what you say it is. But I can't say I wouldn't be biased. I would try. The judge said, okay, you're dismissed. The judge, without anybody making a motion, it looks like, strikes that juror for cause as well. 3 strikes, 3 jurors up to bat, 3 strikes, 3 outs. Okay, so then it seems like we get the first male potential juror appearance for the day. So juror 101 is the 4th one that they're calling forward. This is 3 hours ago, tweeted. Juror 101 says, I have a question. The judge said, okay. He said, listen, this is not funny at all. I'm just laughing at the way that Inner City Press types this. You got to get everything in a tweet, right? I'm seriously so impressed with him. I'm never going to stop singing his praises, seriously. Because without his tweets, how would we even be doing this? He says, so juror 101 says, I have 7 stents in my heart. I just can't. 7 stents. I didn't even know you could have 7 stents. Don't you only have 4 valves? How do you have 7 stents? He said, I have 7 stents in my heart. I just can't. Okay, you're excused, sir. The judge lets him out. So that's 0 allowed to go forward. 4 struck out in the first 4. Next juror comes forward. Female. I have had an S harassment training, and I majored in psychology. The judge said, could you be fair? She says, yes. My mother was in a car crash. It was fatal. We had a lawsuit. Oh, her mom died, I guess. And my sister, she got into substances and got abused, and later she passed away of cancer. Oh, that's sad. So that juror leaves. That's juror. Okay, what comes between 101 and 107 on this list? Let me look. Maybe that's, they're not all on here, huh? This is interesting. Okay, I don't know what number juror that is. the person who had harassment training, majored in psychology. Mom was in a car crash that was fatal, had a lawsuit, and her sister got into substances and was abused and passed of cancer. That juror leaves. I don't know what number she was. The judge says, is anybody trying to move to strike on this person? Anybody having issues with her being a juror? And neither side had any issues. So they left her. She remains in the pool. But again, I do not know what number juror she is. It's something, I don't know if they're even going in order, but this is 101 here, and then it jumps to 137. So maybe it's something between 101 and 137, but I really don't know. But she stays in. Okay, so then juror 137 comes forward. This is the sixth. This is the sixth prospective juror of day 2. We're on day 2 of the first week of Diddy trial. This trial is expected to last 8 weeks. I don't know if that counts this week or not. I think it probably doesn't. I think it's probably going to be 8 more weeks. Okay, so juror 137 says, I know a Robert Dunn from high school, but that's a common name. The judge said, where did you go to high school? He said, Trinity High School. Well, that's a common high school name too. He said, my father was a psychiatrist and I know many. The judge said, okay, well, what do you do? He said, I'm a realtor with Sotheby's. This is like a very bougie real estate firm. That one in Berkshire Hathaway is so bougie. The Sotheby's is like an auction house. He said, I'm a realtor. I know a lot of lawyers. I and my brother. In the surrogates court on our father's estate, we had to fight to get what the will said. It's going to sound incredible, but it took 10 years. Don't sound incredible to me. Juror 137. If you want to come on this channel and talk about it on this channel, you have a platform if you get dismissed. If you are watching this and you're not dismissed, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Do not come on this platform. You do not come over here. He's a realtor. He said he had to fight for what was his rightfully in the estate court for 10 years. And so because of that, he knows a lot of lawyers. Him and his brother had to fight to get what they were owed out of their father's estate. Does not surprise me. You know who else is in the surrogates court right now in New York? Wendy Williams. That's where her guardianship in the probate surrogates court over there in New York. That doesn't surprise me at all. We are right smack dab in the middle of the biggest, largest wealth transfer in civilization history, and everybody that can try to fight to keep their little grubby paws on people's money is doing it. People are not just able to just so simply hand things over to their children these days. Okay. It's just not happening like that anymore. Anyway. Okay. And so the judge says, okay, so then the same juror says, my father and I were on I-95. That's like an interstate, and a rock was thrown down on us. All right. So this is one of the answers to one of the questions is my dad and I were on the interstate and a rock was thrown down on us. So I think that's like, were you ever been the victim of a crime or something? Then he says, I saw the clip of the defendant by a hotel elevator. He's saying he also saw the Diddy footage. He saw the CNN clip. He said he was in a towel. There was a woman on the ground. I can't recall it. I believe he's in jail in New York City. The judge said, could you be fair? Juror 137, this is the guy who spent 10 years in the estate court. He said, yeah, I could be fair. The judge said, okay, but you wrote that you were unsure. The juror said, I don't know if that video is part of the case, but I would listen to your instructions, he says to the judge. Agnifilo said, we know that a close variant. Agnifilo. So the juror leaves. He comes in, he says he knows lawyers. He says he was in the estate court. All this was going on. He actually wrote on his questionnaire, juror number 137, he wrote on his questionnaire that he was not sure if he could be fair. The judge also made reference to the fact that the juror 137, potential juror, he had seen the CNN footage. He had seen Diddy running like a puma down the hall. And this is a very common theme that I'm noticing with these jurors, even from yesterday and now today. Many of them have seen the CNN hotel lobby footage. Now, it's unfortunately kind of helping Diddy and some of his lawyers' arguments, because Diddy's lawyers have argued that the government was trying to taint the jury pool by showing that footage. And at the time, I thought that sounded a little bit over dramatic. But now, I mean, a lot of the jurors did say that they have seen that footage. So Unfortunately, the facts are kind of helping Diddy out at this point. However, it isn't every juror. I mean, what are we on, the 6th, 7th one or whatever right now? And it's the first one, second one that said it. Okay, so it's not like every single one. So it's fine, but I don't know. Okay, so 𝗟𝗛𝗡𝗞𝗦 says after that juror leaves, 𝗟𝗛𝗡𝗞𝗦's like, all right, look, dude, hello, excuse me, Your Honor, hi. A very close variant of that video is going to be shown at trial. And that man just said that he couldn't be fair or was not sure if he could be fair, specifically because he saw that video, and maybe the CNN version of the video isn't going to be played, but it's going to be a very close variant. And so for that reason, we just need to get rid of that man. And then the government didn't even argue back. They're like, we don't object. Maybe they don't want him in for some other reason. Maybe they really are just being fair all of a sudden. I don't know. I really don't know, but they didn't object. The judge said, okay, fine. Juror 137 is excluded. Moving on. So this is 2 hours ago. This was tweeted. So I guess we got through about the first hour so far or so. Okay, then, it starts to get a little juicy. It starts to get a little dramatic. Juror 143 comes in. This is a male. He says, I read an article going home from the courthouse about the jury selection process. The judge said, you weren't supposed to. He said, it was from my phone. I read who got excluded. Okay, he goes on, juror 143. My wife is a child cancer psychologist. I don't know what a child cancer psychologist is. Judge says, where? NYU. And then he goes, I'm a lawyer. Judge said, where? The juror 143 said, I work in-house at Transact with a Z. I clerked in the Maryland State Attorney's Office. And he answers yes to one of the questions. I was arrested for DUIs. Because the reason he's saying these specific questions are because these are specific questions that were asked on the questionnaire. Are you a lawyer, prosecutor, something like that? What does your spouse do for work? Where do you work? I clerked. Have you ever been a clerk? Have you ever worked in the judiciary? I mean, these are things like kind of off the top of my head. I'm not, please don't, quote me. I'm paraphrasing what I remember. Have you ever been arrested, convicted, charged, et cetera, et cetera? It's like anything more than a traffic ticket. Have you ever been a victim of a crime? He says, my wife and I were victims of identity theft, credit card theft. The judge said, when? He said, a week ago. Then, okay, he was victim. Him and his wife were victims of identity theft and credit card theft 1 week ago. Then 𝗟𝗛𝗡𝗞𝗦 passes a question up on a piece of paper. The judge then turns to potential prospective juror 143 and says, how did you find that article yesterday? He said, on my phone on Metro North, and then he got up and left. The assistant U.S. attorney said, we are concerned. This juror is a trained lawyer, but did not obey. He read about jury selection. 𝗟𝗛𝗡𝗞𝗦 said, I'm not concerned enough for a cause challenge. So 𝗟𝗛𝗡𝗞𝗦 wants to keep this lawyer juror that was a victim of identity theft or whatever. He's like, I'm not concerned. I like him. He said, actually, in fact, we object. So Diddy wants this guy in. The judge kind of seems to be siding with Diddy and 𝗟𝗛𝗡𝗞𝗦 and says, well, he did disclose it. Like as soon as he got here, he said he saw an article about the jury selection process. The assistant U.S. attorney's like, yeah, he clicked the article. Judge says, okay, fine. I will strike him. So that juror is not going to be in, the one who read the article on the train. Okay, so moving right along, then they call up juror 149. This is a male. He said, I had a 4-week rotation into psychiatry in my medical training. I'm at Mount Sinai in surgical pathology. I've been an expert witness for 4 or 5 cases in medical malpractice. So this guy is answering to the question, have you ever practiced or do you work with therapists or, something about psychiatrists, therapists? Do you have any training in these fields, etc.? He said, yeah, I did a rotation. It was for 4-week rotation, but I'm a surgeon. He has also been an expert witness. So you know how we're calling in Dr. Hughes, Dr. Aoun, and Dr. What's that other one's name? Sasha Bardley. This guy is like that type of expert, but in the particular scope of medical malpractice lawsuits. So like when you need to sue your doctor and you have to sue their medical malpractice insurance gets involved in all of that. So this guy's like an expert witness for that. He said he's been an expert witness in 4 or 5 cases. He also says my son was beaten up and he had his cell phone stolen while he was at George Washington University. The judge said, by who? This juror, potential prospective juror 149, he says, well, I was told it was 3 young black men who had beat my son up and stole his cell phone while he was at college at George Washington University. The judge said, okay, well, but will you be biased because of that? The juror said, people are people. So I don't know exactly what to make of that. I mean, I guess that's the man saying I wouldn't be biased against black people, if that's what you're asking. Like, it wouldn't be because somebody was black. But I don't know exactly what he means. I mean, all I can really do is speculate and do conjecture based on what I'm seeing here. But the judge says, I'm not going to strike him. And both sides agree. Nobody says, you got to get rid of this guy. So that one will probably end up being in the jury pool, if I had to guess, 149. Because he also didn't say he heard about this case. Like a lot of these people have heard about the case, and even some of them even admitted today that they kind of already made their mind up. Remember that girl from way earlier, one of the first ones we read? She's like, kind of, I'm leaning toward, I think he did some crimes. So this juror just having simply had, his son was beat up by some random people, and he's saying he's not going to be biased. Like, I can't really see a reason to strike him. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to run some of this stuff by my law school teachers, because I feel like they have experience and knowledge of like things I wouldn't think of like, oh no, you would want to get rid of this guy because blah, 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 blah. Plus there's rules. You can't just strike somebody for race or gender or something like that. You have to have like a real cause. Like they actually are not going to be fair. Like someone saying, I think Diddy's guilty is like for cause. Okay. So that juror 149, he gets to stay around. Now, here comes the next juror, and he said, I might be elected officer in my union, but no. So I won't start a new job. My wife is, okay. So he had originally said he might be starting a new job, which would make him unable to serve as a juror. But he's saying, I didn't get the promotion. Or elected officer of the union, so I'm not going to start the new job. So that's not an issue anymore. My wife is a victim of assault, and the judge is like, by who? The juror said, an uncle. In our culture, it was swept under the rug. The judge said, whose culture? What culture? And the juror says, Puerto Rican. Okay. Mostly everyone. Okay. So because they come from I'm not saying this, y'all. Okay. Don't come for me. All right. But this is what this juror, he apparently is Puerto Rican. He's saying, my wife was a victim of assault by her own uncle, but because of our culture, it was swept under the rug. So like nothing really came of it. There was, no justice or whatever. And then they move on to the next topic. Now, remember, y'all, there's probably a lot of dialogue and a lot of little chitter chatter and context and stuff that we are missing because we are limited for, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video must be worth 1,000,000. And what is being there in real life worth, So this is just as best I can do to try and keep up and fill in the gaps. I'm relying on, this publicly available Twitter thread to piece these pieces of information together. But a lot of this stuff is really kind of probably up for debate because look, it just goes straight from Puerto Rican to the video, right? So I have to infer, I am inferring, and I'll imply that they have moved on topics. Somehow the topic has switched and now they're talking about the CNN tape. This is 2 hours ago. We're still catching up. I'm assuming they're probably back from break now, or they will be back from break very soon. The juror says, mostly everyone saw the video of Diddy and his ex-girlfriend. The judge said, okay, but you wrote that he looked angry and hostile and entitled? The juror said, I did. Judge said, could you be fair? Juror said, yes. Neither side objects to this juror. Again, we are not told exactly what his number is. See, it goes just from 149 who leaves, and then we move to the next one. This is the guy who says he's Puerto Rican and Puerto Rican culture. It wasn't reported. He stayed in, though. He stayed in so far. Now, just because someone survives this round doesn't mean they're going to be definitely in the jury pool. There's still the strikes that each side is going to get to do. Remember, they need 12 jurors and 6 alternates in case something were to happen. I mean, anything could happen, to somebody. Look, one of the guys had 7 stents in his heart. I mean, they did excuse him, but anything could happen to a juror. And you don't want, just because one juror, sometimes to one juror, to have a whole mistrial or something. So there's going to be alternates also there sitting in the courtroom, just as the same as the other jurors, in case they need to be tagged in. They're kind of like jury understudies. So they do need to still get about, they need to get 18 people. Okay. So that juror gets to stay in, and then we move on to prospective juror number 160. The judge says, do you personally know any of the people on the list? This is a female juror, a potential juror. She said, I wish I did, but no. So now we're talking about the list of famous people and places and stuff. She said, once with my ex-boyfriend, I supported him in his child support case. The judge says, parties, any questions? Meaning like feds, 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦, do y'all have any questions? They don't. And then, this 160 said, that was easy. She's funny. These people, they are funny. Some of these people are funny. I'm still, if y'all didn't see yesterday's video, you got to go back and see. Where was she going? The Spirit Weaver conference. She said to the judge, I do have a non-refundable ticket to the Spirit Weaver conference. And he's like, what's the Spirit Weaver conference? She said, oh, it's ladies dancing in the woods. She was the one that designed fonts. So now we have this lady today. She's like, the judge goes, do you know any of these people on this list of famous people? She said, I wish, but no. And then when they didn't have any questions for her, she's like, that was easy. Okay, so then the next juror comes through. I don't know what number this one is. This person designs kitchens in Yonkers on commission. The judge said, if you were here for 8 weeks, what percentage of your income would be hit? Juror said 30%. I could survive it. My wife is suing my landlord. Oh, okay. Maybe that's the disclosure. Like, yeah, I'm involved in a lawsuit. My wife is suing the landlord. For what? Repairs. I have friends who have been assaulted. One of my brothers went to jail for robbery. Golly. The wife is suing the landlord. The brother went to jail for robbery. The other brother went to jail for fraud. What is this family? They're both home now. Okay, all right. They did their time. All right. On the news, I saw this trial was coming up. It's been all over the news, including this morning. It was on in my house. The judge said you weren't supposed to watch that. And then he leaves out. But even though he saw it on the news this morning, the case coverage, nobody objected to him being a juror. So he's still in for now. Then they move on. Juror 175. She says, my mother is a cancer survivor. I take her to appointments at Jacoby Hospital in the Bronx. My nephew was a GANG member, and he a police officer. Ooh, who was that? His nephew. So his sibling's son. They dropped the charges, and he's supposed to come out in July. That's in state court. The judge said, how's your English? Okay, so this must be somebody who, for some reason, has given the judge indication that their English might be not proficient. Judge asks juror 175, how is your English? How proficient? He says, sometimes reading it is hard, difficult words. Judge said, can you sit here and read emails and my legal instructions? Juror said, I think so. At the hospital, I distribute supplies, disposables. So he leaves. The feds, the prosecutors, do not want this man in. I don't know what the English issue is, but they are saying they have an issue with his English proficiency. They say 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦 wants him in. 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦 said, I ain't worried about it, not one bit. I think he's going to be fine. 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦, Diddy's lawyer, says the text messages in this case are in very simple English. We object. We object to the government's motion to strike. The government said the texts are abbreviated, there's typos, they're hard to interpret. The judge said, I'm not going to exclude him for cause. I don't think y'all made your case strong enough that the man has that much of an English problem. But, you can use one of your strikes if you want to. Okay, moving on. The next juror comes in. This is 1 hour ago. This time is a female juror, potential juror. I don't like how I'm not in the screen. Okay. On the questionnaire, I said I hadn't seen Diddy on TV, but I did. Oops, she's saying I lied, y'all. She said, and I have been traumatized. Back in Ivory Coast in war, it was a lot of things. That's terrible. The judge said, so you can't be on the jury? She said, I cannot. That's interesting. She had said one thing on the questionnaire and now she changed her answer. She's from the Ivory Coast. She saw a lot of stuff in war and now all of a sudden she can't be on the jury and she says, no, I cannot. Either way, the judge said, fine, get out of here. Bye. So I don't know what number juror that was. Juror 180 then comes in, also female. She says, we once had to evict someone from a commercial warehouse in Mexico. Also, I get tummy aches. I'm not 100%. I might have to take bathroom breaks. Sorry, TMI. So she must have some type of IBS, Crohn, something like that. She said, I might have to take bathroom breaks. Sorry if too much information. The judge said, can you sit through a movie? She said, yes. I also feel guilt. I don't know what I also feel guilt means. The judge then says to the same juror, prospective juror number 180, anything in your religious beliefs that would make you bias? She said, I think because I'm Catholic, I am very tolerant. Okay, so we got a Catholic in the mix. Diddy's lawyer has no questions. Sometimes they can pass these questions up. No questions from him. AUSA, the assistant U.S. attorney, they pass a question forward written on a little note. And the judge said, what was your surgery? She said, female. So a female surgery, maybe like a hysterectomy or something like that. She goes, and I had COVID. So juror 180, that one we just talked about, stomach aches, can't sit through a movie, or maybe she could or whatever. She's excluded. So I don't know why they excluded her, but they did. So some stayed in, some went out. Okay. And then there is a video. So let me go to Inner City Press. I guess I can keep this up so y'all can see. Let me go to his video because he did make a video. Okay. So they're back in session. The court's back in session now. I want to find his little blog he made. Here it is right here. He's so concise. Okay, that's as loud as it goes. Let me see. Let me read somebody else's things real quick. Can I get a copy of your jury member sheet? Yeah, Shelly, it's not done right now. It's not done yet. But yeah, I will share it. Thanks so much for the $2 super chat. Work on your business. Yes, Slay. Thank you for the €59.99 for your legal fund. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Just so y'all know, if you donate to the legal fund through YouTube, that goes to like a separate account. YouTube takes quite a bit of the money, which is totally fine if that's easiest for you. Just to let y'all know, the official legal fund, most of the money except a very small percent goes straight to me, which then goes straight to lawyers. Thank you so much. That makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. Thank you, Paige Collin. Thank you, Paige Collin. Swore the robe and gavel. I already have the robe. I do need a gavel. Thank you so much for that $4.99 super chat. Welcome, Zen. $88.99 to memberships. Welcome, Angel 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦. I know you from Louisiana, girl. Angel 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦. Yes, indeed. Welcome to memberships. Laissez les bon temps rouler, Michelle. Yes, Slay. Monica. I see Monica in the chat. I see Diamond Rainbow was in the chat. Yesterday, it was a little bit excruciating sitting here having to refresh. So let's see what the video is that he made. It says vlog 2, May 6th. Oh, y'all want to go watch his first vlog? Let's go watch his first vlog. Did he make one? Let's see. Diddy Jury Selection Blues. He wrote a song. I like his songs. Okay, here we go. This is his video from this morning before it started. So let's just see what he's saying. Because y'all, I mean, he's sitting in the court every day. Like, he has the best view of all of us.
Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Today, Tuesday, May 6th, 2025. Now, we're back into day 2 of jury selection in USA versus...
Can y'all hear it?
We covered it yesterday in great detail, including the juror from HBO, who's still in the pool. Mark _𝗟𝗡𝗞𝗦 asked to have her removed since they did the fall of Diddy. But Judge Sobranian left her in and said, you could use a peremptory. There was a second round of questioning, and she still wasn't knocked out. So you can find that on Inner City Press. Now, this morning, we've already written a story. Why? Because before 7 a.m., the U.S. Attorney's Office wrote into Judge Sobranian asking that Mark Geragos, who yesterday we saw in the courtroom.
I was not aware. Okay, maybe I just missed it. Mark Geragos was in the courtroom yesterday. Mark Geragos is the father of Teeny Geragos, who's been on this case since like pretty much the beginning. I think maybe like literally the beginning. And she in and of herself, like she's like one of these super lawyer types. But Mark Geragos is on a podcast with Harvey Levin, the Two Angry Men podcast. And he's talking about the Diddy case the day or 2 days before he becomes one of the lawyers on the Diddy case. When did he even become one of these Diddy? When did he even become one? I got to read that letter. I haven't even downloaded it yet. Let's see what Matthew Russell Lee says about that letter. He said he already wrote a story on it. Listen up.
We're in one row. It's all very organized. Who can sit where? And there he was, Mark Geragos. He was kind of like smiling and thought it was just preening. But as it turns out, the government is saying that he's advising them on jury selection, and that for that reason, although he hasn't filed a notice of appearance, he was not among the 2 that were being added. There's a Nicole that's being added, and it was...
Okay, that's news. That's news. Remember they said that 2 lawyers are going to be added to the case. They said this last week, Thursday. There was a pre-trial, the last preliminary, like pre-trial, not preliminary, excuse me, the last pre-trial hearing, and it was like really to sort out the jury questionnaire and a few other evidentiary motions in limine. Well, in this hearing, Mark _𝗟𝗡𝗞𝗦 said there was going to be 2 more lawyers added to Diddy's defense team. One such lawyer is Xavier Donaldson, and he went to Howard. I did a whole video on him. He filed a notice of appearance. It was filed. There was not, from what I saw the last I checked, another notice of appearance filed by another lawyer. So I'm like, okay, maybe they aren't going to have another defense lawyer add on. I mean, I guess they can add a lawyer at any time they want. I don't exactly know. I mean, that's one of the questions I should ask my teacher too. Let me start writing these down. When cannot add new lawyer? Too late. Okay. So if you remember right before I started playing that segment, I said, I don't think Mark Geragos actually filed a notice of appearance in this case. Like, I don't think, I didn't see it. And so Matthew Russell Lee is confirming this. He's saying Mark Geragos is not one of those 2 lawyers that Mark _𝗟𝗡𝗞𝗦 was referencing last week on Thursday. It was Xavier Donaldson and someone by the name of Nicole as a first name. So let me rewind back maybe just a few seconds so you can hear that part once more.
Find that on Inner City Press. Now, this morning, we've already written a story. Why? Because before 7 a.m., the U.S. Attorney's Office wrote into Judge Sobranian asking that Mark Geragos, who yesterday we saw in the courtroom, we were in one row. It's all very organized. Who can sit where? And there he was, Mark Geragos. He was cut.
It's all very organized. Who can sit where, he said. So there he is right there, like on the lawyer bench or whatever, Mark Geragos, and he's sitting there preening because he's on that podcast. I mean, he loves attention, it seems.
Kind of like smiling and thought it was just preening. But as it turns out, the government is saying that he's advising them on jury selection, and that for that reason, although he hasn't filed a notice of appearance, he was not among the 2 that were being added. There's a Nicole that's being added, and it was Xavier Donaldson that added. But Mark Geragos is not on the team, but is advising them. Therefore, the U.S. Attorney's Office says they want him admonished about public statements, including on podcasts. So there's that. We'll be doing day 2. And
yes, that. Okay, look, listen, I totally agree with them. And y'all know I am straight down the middle. I try to be. I'm not like totally on the government side. I'm not totally on Diddy's side either. I try to be fair, and I totally agree. If you're going to have somebody on your team and whose daughter is on your team, you should not be on Harvey Levin, Mr. TMZ propaganda himself. It's just too much conflicts of interest in my opinion. If I'm Diddy, I'm going to be pissed. If I'm a defendant, I'm going to be mad because it would seem, in my opinion, Diddy. I can't even tell who's on what side, but the government is like, okay, he's going out, he's making all these statements, but he's like basically a lawyer on the case. So if he's going to be a lawyer on the case, advising on jury selection, he should just shut his trap about Diddy's case, because everybody is under a protective order in here. The judge has reinstated the protective order over and over. And just last week, Diddy was mad at Lisa Bloom for doing podcast interviews and doing documentary interviews. So what's got to be good for the goose got to be good for the gander. That's kind of what I think that the government is arguing. We're going to read that document in a little while.
A few short moments. We'll also today be covering, hopefully, at 10 a.m., the Second Circuit appeals arguments involving both Ozturk and Madawi.
Okay, so I think that was all the Diddy stuff. So let's go to the post-break Twitter thread and see what has happened so far. I want to find like the top of the thread. Okay, so he just kept going on that same thread. Okay, good. Okay, they're back 38 minutes ago. I was a jury captain in Philadelphia 20 years ago. I've seen. Okay. So this is a female juror. So they're back. First prospective juror that's questioned. We don't get a number for her, but she does disclose that she has been on like a jury before 20 years ago in Philly. She said, I have seen the Diddy video and I find it disturbing. The judge said, could you be fair? She said, yes. She leaves and nobody says that they should strike. I don't know. I think that's interesting because yesterday, Mark Agnifilo was trying to strike people for saying that the video was disturbing. Today, he's not, I guess. But she leaves out. So she still is in the pool. She hasn't been excluded yet. Okay, then juror 184 comes in. This is a male. He says, I am a security guard. The judge said, where do you work? He said, Canva. I'm also a social worker. Agnifilo passes a question forward on a little notepad. What kind of social worker? This juror, 184, says child neglect. The judge said, okay, can you be fair? 184 says, yes, I could be fair. So they allow this juror to leave. Nobody says, let's strike him. So he's in the pool so far. This is interesting. Okay, so then now a new juror comes in. So they're moving right along. Juror number 194, she says, I work at the nonprofit Geragos as a vocational counselor. The judge said, with whom? She said, Micah. Judge said, what is that? Mentally ill chemical addiction. That's very interesting. Judge said, you say you were the victim of a crime? 194 said, yeah, the girlfriend of my ex assaulted me. Okay, so she breaks up with her ex. The ex gets a new girlfriend. The new girlfriend allegedly assaulted juror 194. She say she was upset. He dated me. Previously, I was physically assaulted and my nose was broken. My vision and my knee. I filed a police report. The judge said, could you be fair? She said, certain testimony about violence, maybe. She leaves. Judge says, strike. Okay, so this seems to be the first striked juror after the lunch break, unless I'm forgetting. Okay, a new one comes in, and the reason this one got struck is because they were assaulted violently in the past more than once, allegedly, and so it would be difficult for them to be totally impartial or fair on this case because the testimony would involve violence and it would just be, traumatic or whatever. New juror comes in, a new prospective juror, also a female, juror 199. I'm a freelance worker. If I'm not working, I'm not getting paid. Judge said, okay, fine, get out of here, bye. So she gets excused. The new juror comes in, this time a male, juror 201. So we're in the 200s now, okay? This is how many people we've had to go through just get enough people in the pool. Juror 201 says, I have a friend who was a detective in Florida. My son is a security guard at Mercy College, and I was on a jury in the Bronx. The judge said, could you be fair? He said, yes. Nobody opposes him. Nobody says, I object. No, don't let him in. And so juror 201 gets left in the jury pool. Juror 204, female, comes in. She says, I work for an imports company, importing avocados. My uncle was in the NYPD. Would you be biased for law enforcement? She said, yes. Judge said, you're excused. Get out of here. So it's good, though. It's good. You should admit it. You should admit if you would be biased because people deserve a fair trial. Moving right along, they get to now juror 208. This is a female. She said, my son graduates in the second week of June from Mamaroneck High School. I heard a song about this case on a Russian comedy channel. The judge said, you're excused. Get out of here. Okay, so he's going to let her go her go to her son's graduation. Then we got another tweet. The most recent one was just 1 minute ago. The judge said, you're in court? Juror 210, I am evicting a tenant. Oh, no. The judge said, okay, is there anything about the race of the defendant that would cause you to not be fair? Juror 210 said no, but also I use the devil's lettuce, MJ. The judge said, can you not during the trial? I'm going to order that. Watch him be like, oh no, it's my medicine. So that was the most recent tweet. Oh no, there was more. Okay, there's more. Okay, there's some more. The juror said, okay. The judge said, were you arrested for marijuana? The juror said, in New Jersey, I paid a fine. That was it. He's crazy. This man is funny. The judge goes, when did you last use marijuana? He said last night. I might have liked something on X. I don't remember. The judge said, what have you seen? This is funny, y'all. The judge said, what have you seen? He said the video of Diddy getting arrested. I might have clicked like. 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦 passes forward a written question. Would not using marijuana be hard for you? The juror said, yes, that would be hard for me. The assistant U.S. attorney, and then he leaves. Juror 210. The assistant U.S. attorney, the feds are like, get rid of him. The judge said, yeah, he was honest. So, I mean, whatever. I'm not going to judge the guy. I mean, I could see why they might not want him on anybody's jury. He said, I might have clicked like on Diddy getting arrested last night while I was also participating in the devil's lettuce. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up that document. I want to see the Mark 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦. I want to see what the government, the feds are saying about Mark Geragos.
I never heard somebody call it the devil's lettuce. He participates in the devil's lettuce. Never heard of that before.
Because he did not apply to be Diddy's lawyer. He did not file a notice of appearance. The feds this morning have filed something asking for the judge to admonish Mark Geragos for making statements on podcasts. If you're just joining, hi, hello. We are caught up. We are caught up with the tweets, but they are coming in every 5 minutes or so. So we're keeping track of that. Look, I'll show you right here. Keeping track of that on Inner City Press. Most recent tweet was 5 minutes ago, and that was the guy, he wanted to do too much devil's lettuce. Oh, we have another tweet. Hold on, 5 seconds ago. Juror 211. So we just got rid of 210. Here's 211. As a father of 2 young children and a daughter, I am concerned. The judge said, could you be fair? He said, yeah. I used to work at Credit Suisse. Swiss? I don't know what that is. Now I work in collectibles, baseball cards, comic books. My wife is on social media. She loves TMZ. Okay, well, the owner of TMZ and the founder of TMZ, Harvey Levin, is on a podcast with Diddy's lawyer, Mark Geragos. So I think this is not going to work if the favorite is TMZ. Okay, so then the feds have a question. This was a 5 second ago tweet. Let's see if anything's new, if he's said anything since. Okay. I am going to continue looking at for that document because I want to see what the government said. Also, I mean, it's like 5 minutes between tweets on average here. So we got to find something to fill in our time. That way you can also just stay up to date with all the context of everything going on. Oh my Lord, y'all. There's a lot of stuff. Letter motion. Nicole Westmoreland showed up for Diddy. Okay, let me show y'all actually. Here you go. Here is the docket. So the most recent thing that I read on this channel was this right here, docket number 316. Now, don't get too excited about this transcript of proceedings because we do not have access to that. If you just you click on it, it says you do not have access. Eventually we may, but usually I don't get access to transcripts because they're expensive. Letter motion. Okay, this is the letter motion. I think it's the motion at dockets. Okay, and then something else was filed for docket 236, 76, and 77. Let's see what those are. Just that's the most recent filing. I don't think they're going to have victim 3 come in. They're not going to have victim 3 come in. That's one thing that they were talking about yesterday at the end of court. So let me open up docket number 319. Because this is the one about Mark Geragos. 2 pages long. Okay. Let me just make sure first that there's not like a new tweet. I don't want to miss those. That's the priority. No. Okay. Nothing new here yet. So let me pull up the document that was filed today about Mark Geragos and admonishing him. Okay, here we go. Okay, dear judge, the government respectfully writes following the first day of jury selection in the above captioned matter. During the course of jury selection, despite the presence of 7 defense attorneys who have filed notices of appearance in this case and a jury consultant. So I want to know, who is the jury consultant? The defense team appeared to consult with Mark Geragos. Again, y'all, listen, this is the father of one of Diddy's lawyers. Okay, this is not just a random guy. Mark Geragos is the father of Teeny Geragos, who is the daughter of Mark Geragos. And Mark Geragos is one of the 2 angry men on the 2 Angry Men podcast with Harvey Levin, the owner of TMZ. And this Mark Geragos guy has been on the 2 Angry Men podcast, yapping his jaw about Diddy. And if you are a lawyer on this case, you are not supposed to be talking about Diddy because of that protective order everyone has agreed to. Indeed, and in fact, it was Diddy and 𝗟𝗓𝗡 who demanded to have this protective order in place where nobody could yap to the media. And yet here they are yapping to the media. I mean, it kind of appears like that's what the government is saying. They were consulting with Mark Geragos and other members of the Geragos law firm who were present in court. Mr. Geragos and his law firm have a long-standing relationship with Diddy. Ooh, see government motion filed under seal from February 25th, 2025. Wow. They're like, Mark Geragos has a long-standing relationship with Diddy, and we already told you about this under seal 2-3 months ago. But neither Mr. Geragos nor any member of his firm has filed a notice of appearance in this case. Nevertheless, given his apparent role as an advisor to Diddy and the defense team, the government respectfully requests the court to remind Mr. Geragos and members of his firm of their obligations under the rules, which state that during a jury trial of any criminal matter, including the period of selection of the jury, no lawyer or law firm associated with the defense shall give or authorize any extrajudicial statement or interview relating to the trial or the parties or issues in the trial. This is the rule. They're citing it. In which which a reasonable person would expect to be disseminated by means of public communication if there is a substantial likelihood that such dissemination will interfere with a fair trial. The feds go on. They say the need for the court's admonishment is necessary, given that as recently as 3 days ago, Mr. Geragos spoke at length about the trial in this case in his podcast called Two Angry Men. Ooh, they mad. I was aggravated about it when I saw it personally. Harvey exposes what he knows about Diddy. Two Angry Men. Available at wherever. Mr. Geragos has commented repeatedly on this case on his podcast, including an episode in which he hosted his daughter, Teeny Geragos. Oh, y'all, they're brazen. One of the defendant's attorneys in this case. Wow. When was that? March 1st, 2025. Whoa. These people are brazen. Wow. Mr. Geragos' podcast with Harvey Levin, the creator of the tabloid news organization TMZ. Oh my God, a highlight. During the podcast, Mr. Geragos opined on a variety of topics, including characterizing specific pieces of evidence in this case. He described the government's use of the Intercontinental Hotel video surveillance as, quote, character assassination. Oh my God. Y'all, okay, hold on. This guy is doing all of this, and Diddy's team has the bold-faced, unmitigated audacity to say that Lisa Bloom can't be on a documentary? I was on their side. I agreed. Maybe Lisa Bloom shouldn't be doing all of that. But why is Mark Geragos doing it? The feds say he ain't only talking about the government's use of the Intercontinental Hotel video surveillance footage as character assassination. He's talking about other stuff too. He's talking about the makeup of the prosecution team handling this case, observing that it could look like you're prosecuting a cause. He talked about arguments the defense intends to make, noting that Diddy has a violent temper, and especially, I think, when you combine it with the DRUG use. But that isn't what he's charged with. He's not charged with having a violent temper. He's not charged with DRUG use. The government goes on. They say in the podcast, Your Honor, Mr. Geragos advises the listeners that he will be back next week to discuss this further. As the defendant has repeatedly observed in the context of seeking relief pursuant to the local rule, as Diddy has repeatedly told you, Your Honor, courts have an independent obligation to avoid the creation of a carnival. All roads leads to clowns, y'all. Avoid the creation of a carnival atmosphere in high-profile cases. Well, look, listen, if you are on a podcast with Harvey Eugene Levin, it's a carnival. You've made it a carnival. It's a clown show. I mean, he is a clown. Like, when I think of him, I hear a clown horn going, okay? Additionally, in seeking court intervention under this rule as recently as the end of April, Diddy has complained that lawyers for government witnesses have commented on pretrial litigation and continue to broadcast prejudicial statements. Here, for the same reasons of concerns of the effect of pretrial publicity on a fair trial, now we're using Diddy's logic. And we would also like for the court to remind Mr. Geragos and the rest of the defense team of their obligations. Okay, so we'll see what the judge decides on that. I am glad that we had the opportunity to read that. Let's go back to Inner City Press and see I'm sure he has some new tweets. So let's go back over there and see what's happened and what's going on with the jury selection. That guy's saying, I might have clicked like. Funny. Okay, so 5 minutes ago, the judge says, okay, so just to remind y'all where we are, we're on juror number 211, male. He's the one who's like, I'm a father of 2 young children, so I am concerned. The judge says, could you be fair? He said, yes, I used to work at Credit Suisse. I don't know what that is. Now I work in collectibles, baseball cards, comic books. My wife is on social media. She loves TMZ. The judge said, what is the most valuable baseball card you've seen? The juror said, Honus Wagner. I don't know what that means. The judge said, has your wife spoken to you about this case? He said, yes, a month ago. Did he do it? The judge said, did you express an opinion? He said, OMG, it's a big accusation. I don't know what that means. Diddy wants him out. 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦 said, this man has an agenda. He tried to backpedal to get on the jury. He's turning to the parties and selling himself. He's trying to get on the jury. The judge said, I got it. He's getting struck. And he laughed. The assistant U.S. attorney said, you asked of bias. He said, no. Judge said, he's out. No, it's not happening.
That's crazy.
Okay, we got another
That's
tweet
crazy
56
right
seconds
there.
ago.
Okay, here we go. This is right up to date.
Okay, juror 216, a male. He said, I worked for New York City Transit. I was charged with assaulting a police officer, but it got dismissed. I was on 102nd in Lexington. A police officer was bracing up. They searched me and I put him in a chokehold. This is not good. Judge said, would you be biased against the police? I might. I mean, if I were him, you know what I mean? I want to watch the Inner City Press blog. He did a vlog after. We watched the one he did at first, but I want to watch the one he did at the lunch break. Yeah, this one.
Yeah, that's what I've been waiting on right there.
Okay. So this he put out about, I think it was about an hour ago. This is where we're reading all the tweets from. He was inside the courtroom. So he's going to probably give a little bit more context onto what we already read from earlier today. But like, there's even stuff in here. There's even stuff in this video that I don't think he actually says on the tweets. So I don't think it's the full even 1 minute, 46 seconds, but listen up to what he does say so we can get the most of the coverage.
Okay, here we are. Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here outside the Southern District of New York Courthouse after midway through day 2 of U.S. versus Sean Combs jury selection. Now, there was a lot of people knocked out. It's going to take a while. I don't know if it's going to be done in 3 days. What I can say is that what's most interesting to me is where they disagree, and there's motions to strike and to not strike. For example, there was a gentleman from the Bronx who said that one of his relatives, the nephew, in fact, had been jailed for shooting a police officer as a gang member. Turns out he's also a juvenile. In any event, the case was dropped, he said, and he's getting out in July. Now, the government, based on citing language proficiency, said they wanted this juror off and excluded for cause on language proficiency. Sean Combs' lawyer, 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦, said, no, he's entirely proficient, and the texts in the case are very straightforward. The government said they're straightforward, but they're full of typos. They have to be interpreted. Move to strike for cause. The judge said, no, I'm not going to strike him for cause. I'm going to watch this one because I'm assuming that the government is going to use a peremptory challenge. Each side, and is it really could it Batson challenge? In any event, there's things like that. There are a number of people that just knock themselves out. There was just a woman at the end of the morning who said that she's a Catholic from Mexico. She thinks she can be fair, but she has health issues. In a sense, I think the defense wanted her because she said, she really doesn't, having somebody's life in their hands very serious. You really, really have to be sure. The government got her excluded, succeeded in excluding her based on health issues. And so it goes. You can find the whole thread up on Inner City Press. This is how we roll. and we're going to continue to cover this case very closely. To be continued.
I'm just such a fan. I am a fan. I am a stan. You only follow 3 or 2 people on BJ Investigates on Twitter, and he's one of them. Yeah, 18 years old. Let's see what y'all are saying here. Thanks so much, Kelsey, for the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate that. Welcome to membership, Nixie. And got your own membership and already gifting another one. Thank you so much. That is so nice. If you got the free membership from Nixie, you better say thank you. Boy Mama, thank you so much for the $1.99 super chat. He is the jury consultant. If he is, he's not allowed to be talking. He's still, counts as under the protective order. So he better not be saying he's the jury consultant. But also, Boy Mom X3, the government said in their letter that Diddy already has a jury consultant. So he wouldn't, it sounds like to me from their letter, he wouldn't be like the jury consultant. He would be a jury consultant because they seemed to differentiate between Mark Geragos and the jury consultant. But he may be. I mean, in any event, he is acting as a jury consultant. And if you're just joining, Mark Geragos, Teeny Geragos' father, is perhaps facing a little bit of heat, maybe going to get admonished by the court for making out of court statements, but we'll have to see. I don't know what the judge is going to decide on that. Let's see. Is the trial being held in New York City? Yes. It is in the Southern District of New York, Manhattan. Okay. So we do have some new tweets.
There you go. Yeah. I'm going to stop it right here, man. This is an hour and 16 minutes, and I am sleepy as I don't know what. But it's interesting how they are, like, striking people for all kinds of stuff. Can you be biased? You think you'll be biased? I think not. Man, shoot, be real. Dude, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be sitting here all day long. Forget Puffy. I got my own life to do. Or hell yeah, I want to sit through this trial. I want to be a part of this. I mean, oh my God, I think that's how they should select them. If you really don't want to do this, stand on this side of the room. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man. I was selected to do jury duty, but there was no cases. We almost did a case, but I was going to be finding any excuse not to do this. I was going to go crazy. Hey, y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Let me know if you're an ender. I can barely hold my eyes open, man. It is 4 o'clock in the morning, so I need to take a nap before I get finished. We're going to say this and continue it. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.